Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you one of my very favorite beading techniques. I will show you how to make such a Cellini spiral. I love them so much because they look just amazing and they are not hard to make at all. This technique is suitable even for beginners. It's basically just a peyote tube, but you use different sizes of beads. You are changing the bead sizes as you go along. And in this simple way, you achieve these undulating waves. That's it. Trust me, it's a lot easier than it looks. But there is one drawback, and that is that it's very time consuming. I mean very time consuming. So if you decide to make a whole necklace like this, good luck. You will probably spend a lot of evenings on it. If you just want to try it first, it might be better to just make a bangle like this. Or you may not even use that many beads and make your spiral smaller. The process always remains the same, only the number of beads in the circle changes, the number of beads in one round. If you are wondering why it's called a Cellini spiral, actually some people call it the Cellini spiral, and they are right, that's how it should be pronounced. But the more established pronunciation in the bead community is more likely to be Cellini spiral. The Cellini spiral was developed by seed bead masters Virginia Blakelock and Carol Pernoud, who invented it and named it after Benvenuto Cellini, Italian goldsmith, sculptor, draftsman and artist who lived in the 16th century. And lest I forget, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and turn notifications on so you don't miss any new videos. Also check my Instagram where you can find a lot of stuff you are not gonna see here on YouTube. You can find links to my social media in the description of the video down below. Okay, so I will prepare a bead mat and beads. As always, you can find the list of all the products in the description of the video. I'm going to use 6 different types of beads, seed beads of sizes 4, 8, 11 and 15, and glass bicones. These 3 are Czech Preciosa. These beads are some no-name, they are not so quality and they have quite irregular shape. But it's not a problem, not all the beads have to be perfect for this project, it got lost in the pattern. And these 15 O's are Mill Hill beads. Next we need the thread. I'm going to use Nymo beading thread of size D in this green color. I'm editing the video right now and I thought it would be a good idea to add that I'm going to be inserting the tiger tail inside a spiral, as you will see in a moment. The spiral is going to be very large and very heavy, so most of the weight will be carried by the tiger tail, which is very strong. That's why I can afford to use Nymo. If I didn't use tiger tail, but the spiral was only held by its own stitching, its own thread, I would definitely use Farline. Beading needle, it's John James size 12, and scissors. I finished the necklace by starting to take off beads to make the end smaller. I have diagrams for you on how to do this. I will show you the procedure step by step at the end of the video. Plus you can download the diagram as a PDF, you will find a link in the description of the video. So to make a closure, I'm going to need a tiger tail. It's a thin wire encased in nylon. I recommend inserting the tiger tail into the beadwork during the sewing process and sewing with it inside. Because if you have already finished a long piece, it's a problem to insert the tiger tail inside. Alternatively, you can help yourself with a straw which you put inside and pull the tiger tail through it. I just want to point out that you don't have to put any tiger tail inside if you don't want to. I'm just showing you my version of the clasp I need it for. So next we need 2 wire guardians, 2 crimp beads, 2 crimp covers, side cutter, nylon jaw pliers, round nose pliers, flat nose pliers and crimping pliers, 2 8mm glass pearls, 3 jump rings, 1 smaller and 2 bigger, and toggle clasp. Of course, you can finish the necklace any way you like. I will just show you my version of how I did it. My pattern is pretty simple, you can see it here right now. First make 2 rows at a time, that is, pick up each bead twice. I cut a piece of thread, just cut the length you are comfortable working with. Unless the resulting beadwork is very small, we will add a new thread several times anyway. So pick up 4 15 rows, 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 dark blue beads, 1, 2, 3, and 4. 2 light blue beads, 2 yellow beads, 2 green beads, 2 bicones, 2 green beads, 2 yellow beads, 2 light blue beads, and 4 dark blue beads. 1, 2, 3, and 4. One other thing I would like to point out is that in order to achieve the flexibility of beadwork, you must also have a section with small beads. This is the point where beadwork will bend. Otherwise, the beadwork would be too stiff. Also keep adequate thread tension. Do not pull too much or sew too loosely. Just use a medium tension. So bring the beads down and leave a tail long enough. And I'm gonna pass through all these beads again. That's how we connect all the beads in a circle. You can also just tie a knot, but I don't like to do this because the knot would block one of the holes. And I go all the way through the 15 rows. Like this. Now I'm coming out of the last 15 row, and at this point we don't actually need a pattern anymore, because a very simple but important rule applies here. The bead that I'm coming out of is gonna be the next bead that I pick up. I'm coming out of size 15, so I pick up another size 15. I skip the very next bead and go with my needle through the second bead. It's just a peyote stitch. And I'm coming out of a dark blue bead, so I pick up another dark blue bead. I skip the next bead, the first bead, and go through the second bead. And continue the same way. So I'm coming out of dark blue bead, so I pick another dark blue, skip the first bead, and go through the second bead. Again the same. I'm coming out of light blue bead, so I pick up light blue bead and go through the second bead. Now I'm at the end of the row and I need to step up. So I pick up the last 15 row of the row, skip one, and step up. This means go up through these two size 15 row seed beads on diagonal. This one is of my base row, and the step up is through the first one that I picked up on the second round. Our first size 15 bead that we pick up will always be our step up. And that's how I got to the beginning of the next round. Here you can already see that every other bead stands out from the line. I'm coming out of size 15, so I pick up size 15, skip one bead and go through the next bead that sticks out. And continue exactly the same way. So I'm coming out of dark blue bead, so I pick up another dark blue bead, I skip the next bead and go through the bead that sticks out. I really enjoy making Cellini spirals because I don't have to think about it very much. I can watch movies while I sew. I just look at what bead I'm coming out of and I pick the same bead. It's very repetitive. I need to step up again, so I pick up the last 15 of the row, skip one and step up. Go through these two size 15 beads on diagonal. And you're just gonna need to do that over and over. From time to time, it's a good idea to check the pattern to see if it's correct. When sewing becomes routine, it can sometimes happen that you accidentally pick up a bead that is ahead of you, instead of the bead you are coming out of. If this happens to you, it's best to rip out the part and do it again. So the sooner you will find a mistake, the better. As you can see, I'm coming to the end of my thread, so I'm going to show you how to end this one and then put on a new one. I'm not cutting the old thread yet, and I thread a new piece of thread on my needle. I go with my needle through the same bead I'm coming out of with my old thread, so it's this bead. And I'm working it in reverse for a few stitches. Then make a turn and just weave the thread in. If you go back and forth a few times and make several turns, you don't have to make any knots. And cut the tail. And I also weave the tail of my old thread. This is my old thread, and this is my new thread. I go through a couple of beads, tie some knots and cut the tail. And I can continue with my new thread. Okay, so we are done and we can start to decrease beads in one round. As I said at the beginning of the video, I have drawn the diagrams for you to follow. You can download it as a PDF, you can find the link in the description of the video. In fact, I like to draw these diagrams whenever I make a Cellini spiral, because that way I know I won't make a mistake. Of course, I just sketch it out by hand, it doesn't look like this. Okay, so we sew one 15-0. 2 dark blue beads, 1 and 2, 1 light blue bead, 1 yellow, 1 green, and now we should sew a bicone, but I will skip it and put the needle in another green bead. And then we continue with 1 green, 1 yellow, 1 light blue, 2 dark blue beads, 1 and 2, and 1 15-0, and we step up. In the next round, do not decrease, sew a bead into each gap according to the diagram. So 1 15-0, 2 dark blue, 1 light blue, 1 yellow, 2 green, 's pull tight. This was the first and the second. One yellow, 1 light blue, 2 dark blue, and 1 15-0, and we step up. Next round we'll be decreasing the beads again. This is how it's going to alternate. In one round we will skip a bead, we will decrease it, and in the next round we will sew 1 bead into each gap. So we are going to skip 1 green bead here. I will sew 12 rows in total like this. But you can of course customize it to suit your beadwork. You can use this as a general how-to guide. If you sew some smaller beadwork, you won't even have to decrease it because you can attach the clasp there without any problems. Or even for a larger beadwork, you can just sew the clasp on. It's up to you. I finished 12 rows. I have a tiger tail inside, and now I add a glass pearl and a bicone. Add a crimp bead, wire guardian, go back through the wire guardian, crimp bead, bicone and glass pearl. Squeeze the wire guardian a little bit, crimp the crimp bead, and cover it with a crimp cover. On the side where will be the bar, put 2 jump rings, 1 bigger and 1 smaller. This will make it easier to pull the bar through the circle. We'll do the same on the other side. Here we just need 1 jump ring and attach the other end of the clasp. We are finally done. I don't even want to count the hours I spent on it. But I think I'm going to keep the necklace for myself for some special occasion, and I'm going to love wearing it. So that's all for today. Hope you liked the tutorial. Drop me a line down in the comments if you have any questions, ideas, or just want to say hello. And I love it if you show off your beadwork. You can tag me, for example, on Instagram. So, see you next time and happy beading! Bye!